All right, let's just get straight into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to synthesize two absolute masterclasses on personal transformation. We are taking the highly tactical timeline of Cal Newport's deep life stack, and we're fusing it with the profound psychological rebranding of Dan Martell. If you've ever felt like your life is just stuck on autopilot, well, this is your step-by-step master plan to completely overhaul your reality, and we're going to map the whole thing out right before your eyes.
So, let me ask you, are you ready to completely reinvent your life in just 4 months? Honestly, so many of us are trapped in this exhausting whirlpool of reactive busyness. We're constantly putting out fires, answering a million emails, scrolling feeds, and just feeling totally anchored to a version of ourselves we desperately want to outgrow. But what if you could execute a total reinvention before the season even changes? By the time everyone else is making those hollow New Year's resolutions, you'll already be living a completely different life. And the best part, we're going to do it without the burnout.
I absolutely love how Dan Martell sets the stakes here. You will have to reintroduce yourself because your friends and family won't recognize you. You see, true reinvention isn't just about, waking up a little earlier or eating some more greens. It's about fundamentally shifting who you believe you are at your core. If you actually follow this plan, you will literally have to reintroduce yourself to people you've known for years. Your past just doesn't get to dictate your future anymore.
Okay, Section 1, the reinvention mindset, shifting who you believe you are before taking action. Before we even start that 4-month clock, we've got to tackle the foundation. We have to do the vital inner work of rewriting those negative, limiting beliefs you have about success. Because, as Martell warns us, you're never going to get a penny more or an ounce more of success than you fundamentally believe you deserve. If you secretly think rich people are evil or that fit people are miserable because they only eat unseasoned chicken breast, well, you're going to actively self-sabotage to avoid becoming them.
Just look at the stark contrast visually mapped out here between these two mindsets. Words literally create your future. The old identity hides behind phrases like most people and just kind of expects things to fail. But the new identity, it says, yeah, I used to do that, but not anymore. And it relies heavily on the most powerful little word in the English language, yet. You aren't successful yet. You don't have that dream team built yet. By acting as if your success is already a done deal, you attract the exact opportunities you need. You basically turned into a heat-seeking missile for your goals. Now, to truly lock in this new identity, you need Martell's Rule of 300. It breaks down beautifully into 3 pillars. 100% clarity on exactly what you want, 100% belief that it's actually possible, and 100% of your time dedicated to people and environments that support it. When you align those 3, it's wild. You don't just chase success anymore, you attract it.
Which brings us to Section 2, Foundation, Discipline, and Values, covering months 1 and 2 of the Deep Life Stack. With our mindset totally locked in, we're moving out of theory and into the highly actionable stuff. We start right at the bottom of Cal Newport's Deep Life Stack with the foundational layers that are going to ground this brand new identity we've just claimed.
So here is your ticking 4-month clock visually laid out. Notice we aren't doing everything all at once, because honestly, that's exactly how you crash and burn. We're moving sequentially. We start with 2 weeks of discipline, move into 4 weeks of values, dedicate 4 weeks to control, and finally, we climax with 6 weeks of intense vision. Let's zoom in on exactly what you're doing in month 1.
For those first 2 weeks, you are building the discipline layer. First things first, set up a core location, maybe a physical folder or just a digital doc to track everything. Then you establish 3 Keystone Habits, one for your professional life, one for your health, and one that's purely personal like reading a few pages or meditating. Listen, these shouldn't be overly complicated, but they have to be tractable. The goal here isn't to run an ultramarathon on day 1. Your health habit could literally just be drinking a glass of water every single morning. The entire point is simply to prove to yourself that you can keep a promise to yourself. Once you actually trust yourself again, we spend the next 4 weeks on the values layer. This is where you reconnect with your moral intuition. So go back and reread a book or watch a documentary that fundamentally moved you in the past. Then I want you to write out a personal code. And no, this isn't some cheesy corporate jargon you hang up in a break room. It's a deeply personal roadmap for how you want to act during the best of times and, more importantly, the hardest of times. Finally, set up regular rituals, like maybe a weekly hike or a daily study session, that force you to viscerally reconnect with that code.
Moving right along to Section 3, Acceleration, Control, and Resources. Organizing obligations to create breathing room. We've hit month 3. We've built the foundation, and now it is time to accelerate. We have to stop relying purely on sheer willpower and start aggressively taking control of our environment and our time, so we actually have the literal breathing room needed to transform.
To create that breathing room, Newport introduces multi-scale planning. Look at how these steps logically cascade into one another on screen. You start big with a macroscopic seasonal plan that you update every few months. Then, every single week, you consult that seasonal plan to write your weekly plan. And finally, every morning, you look at your weekly plan to create a highly specific, microscopic, daily time block plan. Every hour of your day is now directly informed by your biggest seasonal goals. The chaos of reactive busyness, it just completely evaporates.
Now that you can see exactly where your time is going, you can automate and curtail. Find the commitments that are just draining the life out of you and ruthlessly cut them. Automate the recurring stuff that doesn't really matter. And this perfectly aligns with Martel's advice to build a resource plan. Don't sit there and say, I don't have the resources. Be resourceful. Find the tools, hire a coach if you need to. And most importantly, start spending your time with people who are chasing a common future rather than just people you share a common past with.
All right, Section 4, the final remarkable vision. Overhauling specific aspects of your life. We have finally arrived at the climax of our timeline, the final 6 weeks of our 4-month master plan. You've got the discipline down, you know your values, and you have complete control over your time. Now we aim all that newly acquired firepower at a remarkable overhaul. Welcome to the vision layer.
During these last 6 weeks, Newport suggests tackling 2 things simultaneously. On a micro level, execute a small overhaul. Take one specific, non-professional area of your life and make it absolutely remarkable. Like upgrading your basement to become a serious cinephile, really studying film, reading the reviews, committing deeply to the hobby. But right alongside that, you begin planning your large overhaul. This is the big one, a 5 to 10-year lifestyle-centric career plan. What does your ideal life look like a decade from now? And what major shifts do you have to plot out today to actually get there?
Executing a vision like this, it requires pure obsession. Like Martel says, you have to bathe in the topic. Curate your social media feeds, your reading lists, everything needs to point to this goal. And hey, you've got to be completely okay with being totally misunderstood by your old friends for about 6 months as you make this transition. Critically, you must burn the boats. Martel tells this amazing story about a guy who lost a ton of weight but kept wearing his old belt on the very last hole. Martel made him literally take it off and throw it in the trash. If you've upgraded, throw out the baggy clothes. Close that emergency credit line. Make it physically impossible to regress to the old you.
Now, a quick warning before we wrap up. Section 5, escaping the passion trap. Navigating the dangers of constantly wanting more. Right when you are on the verge of massive success, there's this psychological pitfall that derails so many ambitious people. If you feel stuck in your career right now, pay really close attention to this next concept from Cal Newport, because it might be the exact thing holding your reinvention back.
It's called the passion mindset, and honestly, it is toxic. It's this pervasive belief that you should constantly be asking, what does this job offer me? Am I perfectly 100% fulfilled right this second? Because here's the thing. The answer to what does this offer me is always that something else out there could offer slightly more. It just breeds chronic anxiety. It turns you into a chronic quitter, forever jumping from major to major or job to job, endlessly looking for a magical, perfect fit that simply doesn't exist.
So, the antidote to this trap? Notice the contrast here. It's the craftsman mindset. Instead of asking what the world is offering you, you completely pivot and ask, what can I offer? When you put your head down and just focus on becoming undeniably good at rare and valuable skills, you build up what Newport calls career capital. You then take that capital and cash it in for exactly the autonomy and leverage you need to actually fund that massive 5 to 10-year lifestyle vision we planned out a minute ago.
Cal Newport captures the danger of this perfectly. He says, if you keep popping fences to the next field, you never have time to actually enjoy the ground that's right there under your feet. You simply cannot reinvent yourself if you are constantly looking over the fence to see what everyone else is doing. Real transformation requires the deep, focused work of staying grounded, honoring your daily discipline, and actually executing this 4-month timeline right where you are.
So, here is your final takeaway. Who do you need to become to achieve this vision? Because remember, reinvention isn't just some clever scheduling trick. It is a fundamental identity shift. You have the blueprint now. You have the full 4-month timeline. Are you finally ready to let the old version of you die so the remarkable version can actually be born? Your 4 months start today.